Let's do one more word with George Papandreou, the former Prime Minister of Greece from October 2009 to November 2011. And Mr. Papandreou, I want to start by reading something that was in The Economist just a couple of months ago about Golden Dawn, which is, of course, this extreme right-wing party that is gaining a lot of attention in Greece right now. Golden Dawn, Greece's extreme right-wing party, already has a growing presence in public high schools around the country. Teenage supporters have been spreading its racist message despite complaints by the Greek Teachers Union and left-of-center political parties. Now Golden Dawn is targeting pupils at primary schools. Its official website recently hosted pictures of neatly dressed 6 to 10-year-olds accompanied by parents at a National Awakening session held at a Golden Dawn branch office outside Athens. The session included a discussion on the Olympian gods, the ancient Greek pantheon, and the Christian faith. More such lessons are planned, says the party. What's your reaction to the rise of this movement's popularity in Greece today?
Well, obviously it's a reaction to the crisis. I think a very wrong one, of course. But I think we have to realize in Europe that the policies we followed of deep austerity need to be at least complemented by programs to dealing with the unemployment. I've, for example, talked about a voucher or a scholarship where we should give to every unemployed youth, where they can then use that to go anywhere they want in Europe to be trained. That will also help mobility, but it will also make sure that they don't fall off the cliff during this very critical time. A second thing I think is also which is important is this is sort of a scapegoating of what the real problem is. And they're playing on insecurities. They're playing on pain. We're not going to solve Greek problems by beating up on migrants, which I think is terrible. And I, as a Prime Minister, one of my first legislations that I passed was to revamp the immigration law in Greece to give greater access to citizenship by young migrants, by migrants that are born in Greece, and by migrants that have lived in Greece for many, many years. Now, there was a reaction to that, but I think that's the way we have to deal with the problems of our society, by bringing in and integrating rather than creating polarization and splintering.
Could they win?
I don't think they can win, and I think that they also have a very narrow sense of what being Greek is. They're expressing an insecurity about what their Greekness is. I mean, you have a vibrant community of Greeks in Canada, and you know they're able to maintain a Greek identity, feel proud about it, strive, they're successful. We don't have to be so insecure about our identity. They are very insecure, and they're playing on that insecurity, so they're very narrow on that. So I think that in the end, you know, as most nations, Greeks also are proud about our values and our nation and our traditions, but we shouldn't narrow them down to polarizing with other peoples. Of course, I think their success up to date has been basically built on the pain of austerity and the pain of the crisis. Greece now is moving out of this. It may take time, but there's certain light at the end of the tunnel. Even the bond markets are expressing this by lowering the spreads of our borrowing costs. People are buying up Greek bonds at a higher price. That just is a first indication that things are moving better, even through these very difficult times, moving better. So I think as that happens, they will lose the confidence of even those who today support them.
Because you know some people have compared them to, say, the Nazis of Germany in the early 1930s. They represent the same kind of looming threat. Would you make that comparison?
I would, because we have similar, there are similar situations, and of course that's a lesson to be learned. And that's a lesson to be learned not only for us Greeks, but for all of Europe. When we put so much pressure on our society and so much pain, you will get this sense of, first of all, a sense of pride, but I would add that we have been stereotyped very often in a manner which has created also terrible damage. The fact that we were initially said, people would say, well, the Greeks, you know, they've been lazy, they don't work. That's not true. According to OECD, we are the hardest working in Europe, and I think second to the South Koreans in all of the OECD countries. So that's not the problem. We've had other problems, but that's not the problem. But just the fact that that was sort of an easy, populist slogan around many parts of Europe really hurt and created a sense of outrage in our own society, and this is where parties like Golden Dawn capitalize on this. So we have to be very careful. And I think this is where we have to break this resurgent nationalism in all of Europe, work together, but specifically give solutions. That's what politics is, be able to imagine solutions for our society. And we need to find solutions for these 50–60% of unemployed youth. They have a great potential. They're the highest educated generation in our country ever. And they will be looking for other paths if we don't show that democracies can serve them and not simply concepts like austerity.
One last thing. What are you doing now?
Well, I've spent, even though I'm a member of Parliament, part-time teaching at Harvard and at Columbia last year, Columbia University. It's been enjoyable because I've been able to be in touch with the younger generation, diverse from around the world, some Greeks, but also from all over the world. And I think that's been not only rejuvenating, but it's given me a little bit of time to think of my life, and I'm enjoying that.
How old are you now?
Will be soon 61.
61. So you got a lot of time left. You got to figure out what to.
I hope so.
You got. You got to figure out what to do with the next 15 years of your life just for working.
Yeah, that's true. I believe that I obviously believe that public service or offering in one way or another one's services is something which I've always done all of my life. Now, how I do it and where I do it is another question, but obviously I'll be there to help my country at all times.
Are you done with politics?
Politics is I see politics as a much wider thing than actually just being in power or being in a party and so on. I see it as being an active member of society, and that's what the ancient Greeks thought as politics also.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.